So they forgot a dad they hadn't mentioned yet. And also, what did Thanos do? I know that question's been answered, but they had no reason to show the flashback where Gamora gets recruited by Thanos just to show, hey, we're going to kill him again.
I hope nobody's playing a drinking game and including every time Thanos is killed or just wiped out.
I guarantee you somehow he's going to be the villain in 1602 that gets killed. I don't know why. I just think that's got to be what happens.
If that were true, it would be a great running gag.
Which else is great? He's also a bad dad.
So, this episode of Bad Dads, what if Hela found the 10 rings? So, it kind of starts off with Hela having the same arc as Thor in his first movie, where Odin strips them of their powers and they land on Earth. The difference is this time, instead of landing in, was it Arizona?
It was New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
Hela finds herself in the land of the 10 rings.
For this one, they're like, hey, what if we just shoved some Black Widow into Winter Soldier? Hey, what happens if we shove some Shang-Chi into the middle of Thor and switch Thor out for Hela? I love the stupidity of whoever shall have the power, but this will be where he can have this helmet. Somehow it doesn't feel as dramatic with this big, stupid medieval goth helmet. Ah! So I immediately felt like I was going to say that this one was mistitled, but then I remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, the group is called the 10 Rings.
Right.
I was in my brain thinking she was getting the 10 rings.
I mean, that's not entirely wrong. Like, she was, when she saw what they could do, was like, hey, that's cool. I want those.
Yeah.
I'm glad, though, she didn't actually get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. This was one of the most basic ones that they've done, which is weird because they normally shove those at the beginning of the season. I was part of me was hoping we were going to see Trevor Slattery for like 2 seconds. I don't remember when this took place, but if it takes place no, I take that back. If it took place at the same time as Thor, they wouldn't have Trevor Slattery because he doesn't get taken until after Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. We did see the little buddy, though. I can't remember what that guy's name is.
Morris.
It's Morris. Of course. Okay, so we're also going to go back to okay. How do I want to say this? I feel like at certain points, Hela was written as if her vocabulary was that of a Norse person, and then they also remembered that she came from a Taika Waititi movie a little bit later.
You're not wrong.
Because how she spoke was very Taika Waititi written.
Sometimes the dialogue felt a little overwritten, and that she didn't quite fit into the vibe of the world that she was in.
A little bit, yeah. There was. Oh, sorry. What the heck's gotten in me the last few days? Yeah. It did feel that way at times. It was cool that we got to see Tao Lo and get them into there. That didn't feel quite as forced as what I thought that might be if they got through everything with the 10 rings. So if this is around the same time as Thor 1, how many How many years is it between Thor 1 and the Shang-Chi movie?
Good question.
Because I'm kind of wondering if, like, they were just like, we're not going to show his daughter. Oh, no, that's right. Dang it, I'm misremembering Shang-Chi a lot. Because the daughter only came back into the Ten Rings when... No, they both They ran... Okay. They would have... I remember when the heck they both got away. Oh, there would have been a time period where, like, they would have been there as kids, but they also would have ran... I was wondering when they were teetering on when the kids would still be there if they were born. They would have been born. Never mind. Either way. It's not needed. Anyway. There's not a whole lot to talk about in this episode.
For better and for worse.
Yeah, this is a very basic episode. You could see the plot coming from a mile away. Which is not bad.
No.
It's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just this was one of the ones where I knew what was going to happen throughout the entire episode. As soon as she's going to figure out that her dad's a dick and she doesn't want to be a destroyer. Because again, this is a very happy season compared to the last one. I honestly wonder if they got complaints where they had 5 episodes in a row of where like everyone dies and life sucks.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of a common complaint that like we can't have every episode end in tragedy. We gotta switch things up.
Yeah, I could very much see that being it, but yeah, it was good. Huh, it was good. It was beautiful. Actually seeing like the Fortress of the Ten Rings and then running around in it. It was gorgeously animated. All the moonlight and stuff like that. It was great. Seeing Tao Lo, all that stuff looked awesome. It was very basic. Again, not a bad thing. It's just that it was one of the more simpler episodes that they've done because the idea was pretty simple.
Yeah. What did you think of the voice cast? Particularly the not Anthony Hopkins playing Odin.
You could tell. That was one of the ones where I was like, everyone they've done is doing a real good impersonations. The Anthony one, the guy was a bit, how do I want to say, too gruff at times. He did better at the end when he was telling her she could have the throne. That part, he did a good impersonation. I think when he got more angry, he didn't do the impersonation well.
I kind of agree with that. So that's Jeff Bergman stepping in for Anthony Hopkins, and he is a good voice actor. But sometimes what I've noticed is just because you're good at voice matching doesn't mean you can fully replace the person who came before you.
Yeah, and nothing to credit to him. I'm no professional voice actor myself. It's just that there was times where it matched better than it didn't. That's it. Rest of the voice cast was good. Getting to see Kate come back was awesome. Somehow looks even better in animated form. Don't know how they pulled that off.
Idris Elba comes back for like a scene.
Yeah, for a little bit, which was nice. Yeah, it was really good. I was kind of wondering, I was like, hey man, I wonder, and then I was like, no, he was an only child, so that doesn't work. I was like, it'd be funny if somehow this is the same universe as Frat Boy Thor. And we didn't have any, they might bring her back, but this didn't have any, goes back to the layout of these episodes. How is this one in between Captain Carter when it didn't show any characters getting shifted off, and now the next one is them in 1602? How did we have 2 episodes between that?
Good question.
The layout of these episodes this season is wonky as shit.
You're not wrong. I bet these were just in different production orders, and somehow somehow they decided to release them in a different order than when they were produced.
It must be, because it's weird. It's so weird. I'm trying to come up with a reason in my brain of why you would not cut immediately to that, and maybe one episode in between where they kind of like, oh well, the Kahori one isn't too bad because you have that and Strange coming to get her. You wouldn't have them losing, or you wouldn't have them in episode 8 having their fight, then go back, have an entire episode of that. I'm understanding this is basically what they did with Captain Marvel, but in my opinion, that worked better. Where they were like, oh, we're losing, we need someone. We're going to have a whole episode about Kahori, and then, by the way, can you come over here for a second? So it's kind of cool that they did the pre-step with her. So that one coming after was fine. You could have even had that one happen before. That one could have been 3. Then you could have had the Hela one happen. Then you could have had the Tony Stark, Captain Carter, Avengers in 1602, and then this.
Yeah, that probably would have been a better order, but I don't want to say much about that until we get to the finale, which I am very much looking forward to.
I am looking forward to too, but at this point, I don't know what would change the fact that the episodes would work better if they randomly jump cut in between when the plot was happening. It confuses me so much because, like, all the other ones, when they had that plot and they were circumventing through people, they had them exactly in the events they needed to happen. It didn't have a random one shot. By the way, we're also going to go see what happens if Happy Ho can decide to drive NASCAR. They didn't do that. It's weird. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's all I got for the rest of this. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You need escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And until next time, you can find me on Organoid Zero on Twitch and YouTube. We will see you all later. Bye.
Peace.